Every company you have ever worked for operates with two sets of rules. The first one is written down: the job description, the performance criteria, the corporate values printed on the wall by the elevator. They handed you that set on your first day. They never handed you the second one. The second set determines who actually gets promoted, who gets protected, who keeps taking on more and more until they quit, and who makes it through all of that without anyone touching a single one of their projects. Most people spend years playing by the first set, while the people above them are operating entirely from the second. And the distance between those two manuals is exactly where careers get stuck. You did everything they told you to do, delivered results, stayed loyal when it was not convenient, and still, someone with less of a track record moved ahead first. If you have ever felt that and could not explain it, you were not being paranoid. You were reading the wrong manual. What comes next are 15 rules from the one they never gave you. Rule 1. Your boss does not reward effort. They reward usefulness to their own goals. You stayed late rebuilding a process that saves the team hours. No one mentioned it. Meanwhile, someone else put together a presentation that made your manager look good in front of a director. That person got named in the meeting. You got more assignments. The difference was not quality. It was who benefited. Work that makes power look good gets recognized. Work that disappears into the infrastructure gets absorbed. Rule 2. Reliability gets rewarded until it becomes exploitable. At first, being the person who never drops anything earns you praise. But over time, the assignments change. You get the project with no resources, the impossible deadline, coverage for the vacant role that was never replaced. And it all arrives wrapped in the same phrase: "We are giving this to you because you are the only one we trust." That was not recognition. That was your willingness being used as a staffing plan. They are not protecting you. They are protecting the project. Rule 3. Visibility beats quiet excellence every time. You built the project. Someone else walked into the meeting and summarized it. Your name was not mentioned. No one corrected it. 3 weeks later, that person is being described as the one who led the initiative. Work does not speak for itself. It never has. If it cannot be seen, it does not count. And if someone else is seen next to it first, it becomes theirs. Rule 4. Promotions do not go to the highest performer. They go to the politically safest option. A director has two candidates. One is brilliant and independent, but asks hard questions and does not give way easily. The other is predictable and easy for senior leadership to manage. The second one gets the promotion, not sometimes, regularly, because leadership does not promote the best performer. It promotes the least threatening one. If you want to stop operating without the second manual, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because the manual they never gave you is exactly what we break down here. Rule 5. Whoever controls the narrative controls the outcome. Your performance is not defined by what you have done. It is defined by what is said about you in rooms you are never invited into. One sentence from a senior leader can redirect your entire trajectory. "She is very strong technically, but she is not strategic." That label does not need evidence. It only needs repetition. Once it sticks, everything you do gets filtered through it. Effort was never the problem. Rule 6. Human resources exists to protect the company, not you. When you file a complaint, what gets activated is a damage control process. The question is not, "Was this person harmed?" The question is the organization exposed? The employee who walks in expecting protection and gets procedure instead is not discovering a broken system. She is meeting the system for the first time. Rule 7. Being easy to manage is worth more than being brilliant. You are the person who solves what no one else can solve. And still, the person who smiles in every meeting and never asks uncomfortable questions moves ahead first. Not because they do the work better, but because they make life easier for the person making the decisions. In many organizations, making leadership uncomfortable comes with a cost that no performance review will mention explicitly, but you pay it anyway. Rule 8. Boundaries are only respected when crossing them comes with a real cost. What the organization learns from you is not what you say. It is what you keep allowing to happen. And what you have allowed so far is exactly what they will keep doing. Rule 9. You are being evaluated on how controllable you are, not just how good you are at your job. You are performing well. You start asking for things that match that level, and then something shifts. It is not sudden. It is tonal. The replies get shorter. The important meetings stop showing up on your calendar. No one explains anything. You just notice that the access you used to have is gone. And the cruelest part is this: the better you are at your job, the more visible it becomes that you are no longer so easy to direct. The system does not reward that. It manages it. But that still is not the whole problem. Rule 10. The reward for cleaning up chaos is becoming the person expected to absorb it every time. You stabilized a project that was collapsing. You covered 2 vacant roles. You held the team together through a quarter that should have fallen apart. And the organization learned something. Not that you deserved more, that you could absorb dysfunction without escalating it. Your competence became a substitute for infrastructure the company refused to build. The person who organizes, solves, and holds the operation together ends up being seen as essential to operations, not as someone worth promoting. They are the person people call when everything gets difficult, but not the one they name when an opportunity opens up. One makes you necessary, the other makes you promotable. Rule 11. Institutional loyalty is a debt only one side ever collects. You showed commitment when it was inconvenient. And when the budget changed and your position became inconvenient, that loyalty did not appear in a single conversation. Not because they forgot, because it was never part of the real contract. Rule 12. Meetings are not for sharing information. They are for exercising power. You presented a solution. The room kept talking. 10 minutes later, a more senior colleague said the exact same thing. The director nodded. It got written down as their contribution. And you watched it happen in real time while no one said a word. That was not a coincidence. It was the meeting functioning exactly the way it was designed to function. Rule 13. Feedback is not always development. Sometimes it is compression. They told you to be less direct, less visible, less vocal. The language sounds like growth. The effect is reduction. In many environments, the voice of a woman who knows what she is talking about gets corrected systematically under the mask of professional feedback. If every piece of feedback you receive makes you quieter, it is worth asking who that feedback is silencing you for. Rule 14. Job security does not come from being essential. It comes from being essential in a way the people above you can explain in one sentence. You may be the most critical person on your team, but if the person making budget decisions cannot describe what you do, you are already gone. They just have not told you yet. If your value cannot be clearly explained, it cannot be defended. When the cuts come, the names that survive are not the most important ones. They are the most explainable ones. Rule 15. The greatest advantage you can have at work is not talent. It is seeing the system clearly before the system needs you to stay confused. Every rule on this list is operating whether you see it or not. Praise is still functioning as extraction. Visibility is still beating effort. Loyalty is still flowing in one direction. But something does change once you see it. You stop confusing praise with protection. You stop performing harder when performance was never the problem. The system does not change because you see it, but you do. There is no going back after that. Not because you became cynical, but because you became the person in the room they can no longer manage as if you do not know. If what you just heard put words to something you have been living through but could not explain, give this video a like. And if you do not want to keep walking into professional environments without knowing what is really at stake, subscribe and turn on notifications, because that is exactly what we do here.